The first thing Deputy Marcus Reed noticed was the way the leaves weren't moving. It was late October in rural western Pennsylvania, just outside a wooded stretch near Pennsylvania Route 6. The morning air carried a thin chill, and frost still clung to the edges of fence posts along the roadside. Most of the trees had already dropped their leaves, leaving the forest floor exposed and quiet. But about 30 yards in, there was a patch of flattened brush that didn't match the rest of the woods. Deputy Reed had pulled over after a driver reported seeing a loose dog near the shoulder. In that part of the county, dogs sometimes wandered from nearby properties. It wasn't unusual. At first, he didn't see anything. Then he heard it, a faint metallic shift, like something brushing lightly against steel. He stepped closer to the tree line, boots pressing into damp leaves. That's when he saw the golden fur. The dog was a golden retriever, full-grown, lying low against the ground. His coat was thick and pale against the brown leaves. For a moment, he stayed perfectly still. Then his head lifted. His ears twitched at the sound of footsteps. His eyes followed Deputy Reed carefully, alert, but not frantic. The dog wasn't shifting his weight. That's when Reed saw the trap. A metal jaw trap, the type sometimes set legally on private land for wildlife management, was clamped around the dog's front paw. It was partially hidden under leaves, secured by a short chain staked into the soil. The retriever wasn't pulling against it. He wasn't barking. He was lying carefully, angling his body as if trying to reduce pressure on his leg. The chain made a soft scraping sound when he adjusted slightly. Reed stopped several feet away. He didn't rush forward. The woods were quiet except for a distant truck passing on the highway. The retriever's tail gave one small thump against the ground, not quite a wag. Just a movement, cautious and uncertain. The stillness felt heavier than panic would have. Deputy Reed crouched slowly, resting one hand on his knee. He had been with the county sheriff's department for nearly a decade. Most days involved paperwork, traffic stops, and the occasional call about livestock wandering onto the road. Animal calls required patience. He took a slow breath before speaking. "Hey, buddy," he said quietly. The retriever's head tilted slightly at the sound. His leg trembled in small, controlled pulses, not sharp jerks, just fatigue. Reed reached for his radio and calmly requested animal control assistance, giving his location. While waiting, he removed his outer vest and set it gently on the ground a few feet away. Not too close. The dog watched every movement. Reed extended his hand slowly, stopping short of contact. He let the dog decide. After several seconds, the retriever leaned forward just enough for his nose to brush against Reed's fingers. A small gesture. Reed exhaled softly. "I know," he murmured. He shifted closer inch by inch, keeping his movement steady. When his hand finally rested lightly on the dog's shoulder, the retriever's breathing slowed. The chain scraped once more. Then it went quiet. Animal control arrived about 15 minutes later. A technician named Luis stepped through the brush carrying heavy gloves and a restraint pole. He assessed the situation with a nod. The retriever lifted his head again at the sound of new footsteps but didn't struggle. Reed kept one steady hand resting against the dog's back. Luis examined the spring mechanism. "It's firm," he said quietly. For a moment, the forest seemed to narrow around them. Just the three of them and the dog in a patch of pale morning light. Luis positioned his hands on the trap's levers. Reed shifted slightly, steadying the retriever's shoulders. There was a pause, a shared breath, then a controlled press. The metal jaws released with a muted snap. For a second, nothing moved. The retriever looked down at his paw, lifted it carefully, then placed it back on the leaves. He didn't bolt. He stayed seated. After another moment, he pushed himself up slowly. He tested the paw with light pressure. A brief hesitation, then a step. The chain lay loose against the ground. Luis unhooked it from the stake. The dog looked between them, ears slightly back but eyes steady. No cheering, no raised voices, just the quiet shift of something ending. They walked him back toward the patrol vehicle at a steady pace. The retriever limped slightly but moved on his own. Up close, Reed noticed faint wear along the collar, a simple red nylon strap without tags. Someone had likely been looking for him. They checked for identification and found a stitched name inside the collar lining, Benny. Luis examined the paw beside the road. Swollen, but intact. A veterinary check was recommended. Before loading him into the vehicle, Reed paused. Benny stood beside the open door and glanced once back toward the woods. The clearing looked ordinary again. Just leaves and bare branches. Reed rested a hand lightly against the dog's neck. "You ready?" he asked softly. Benny stepped into the back seat without hesitation and settled down, resting his chin near the window. As Reed closed the door, traffic hummed faintly along the highway. From the road, nothing looked different. Inside the patrol car, Benny let out a long, steady breath and closed his eyes. And the leaves, finally, began to move.